friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Playlist. We're at another Friday here, and that means it's time for me to share with you guys the games I have been playing during the week, give you guys my thoughts and opinions on these games, but I'd also like to hear about the games you guys are playing. I really appreciate everyone that shares the games they're playing each week with me, because it gives me great ideas of games to check out, and I have played a few of the games because of you guys talking about them. And if you guys have any recommendations on a game you think I should check out, let me know, because you guys have also recommended some really good games. And I want to thank you guys so much for that, as I have a nice growing list of games to eventually play and check out. And if I don't have them, I do plan to pick them up if there's something that's going to really interest me. So I have been researching some of those. So keep the suggestions coming, guys. I really appreciate it. So I've got two games to share with you guys this week. One that I've just actually started and only put a little bit of time into, and another one that I've been continuing. So this first one is for PlayStation 2, and it's one that I have not played in a while, and that was Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, which I bought this wonderful 2-pack of the Vice City and Liberty City Story collections last year for 15 bucks. And these are actually ports of the PSP versions of these games, because these originally were launched on PSP, and they wanted to be able to appeal to a wider audience, because not everybody had the PSP. It didn't sell as well, but they wanted to to make more money, so they decided to port them to the PlayStation 2, which they had done with other games from the PSP, like Silent Hill Origins and stuff. And the games really do benefit from being placed on the PlayStation 2. Really cool game. It's a great companion piece. Both of these games do take place before the main entries in the series. So the Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories takes place before Grand Theft Auto 3, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories actually takes place a few years before the main Vice City game. So it's really cool, because the city is pretty much the same, but there's some business and stuff that are open, like they would be in the future, and you get to see some early stages of some of the businesses, and you get to run into characters and stuff that you run into in the main game, and get to learn about their past. And in Vice City Stories, you play as Victor Vance, which is Lance Vance's brother, and you play through the story as him. And of course, if you guys have played the Vice City, you know about Lance Vance and Tommy Vercetti and stuff. But this is a prequel that takes place before it, and you get to go through all kinds of interesting adventures and stuff. Now, since they're PSP ports, they're obviously not as long games. But if you guys are fan of the Grand Theft Auto games and you've never played them, I highly recommend getting them for either the PSP, which I do own, or get them for the PlayStation 2, because the graphics are obviously upgraded and everything, and you get a little bit better performance and stuff. Now, I love these games so much. Now, I have beat Liberty City Stories a long time ago, and I got really, really far in Vice City Stories, but I had stopped playing it years ago, and then I started up again and stopped and started up again, and I just decided, I want to just start all over brand new. I still have my save file saved, so I just use a fresh memory card and start over. And I've just played for a couple of the missions, and just really love these old Grand Theft Auto games. They're just something that's really fun. And Vice City has always been my favorite game in the Grand Theft Auto series, just because I love the 80s setting, the characters, the cars, the music. Just love the overall setting. And I just decided, I'd like to go through and beat that the Vice City Stories finally. And so that's why I started playing it. And when I was actually out game hunting this week, I found the wonderful strategy guide for only 10 bucks. Really cool, because it's a pretty hard to find guide. It was in really good condition. It goes through all this stuff. Talks about, they got the main, how to finish the main story with complete walkthroughs and detailed mission routes. Reveal the location of all the health, armor, weapon pickups, plus all 99 red balloons, which if you guys remember the 99 red balloon song, that's a little Easter egg for that. Every unique stunt jump and rampage and other hidden bonuses, because I do like the 100% Grand Theft Auto games. I did that with Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I got really close to doing it with Grand Theft Auto San Andreas on PS2, but I never did. I still have that save file, so I do need to go back someday and finish. That was at the very end of the game, like when you came back. So probably have like 10% of that game left to do. But so really cool. They have this strategy guide, just really neat. He has a little got information about, what the prologue. So it says Vice City here takes place in 1984, a few years before the events of Grand Theft Auto Vice City and Tommy Vercetti. You enter the world as Victor Vance, Lance Vance's brother. Lance Vance, as you probably remember, was Tommy Vercetti's problematic sidekick. Lance was selfish, self-serving, and untrustworthy, and he didn't share his personality trait exclusively with just friends. He treated his family with the same lack of respect as he will discover as his brother. So that's real intricate to the story and stuff. And what's also is really cool is there's actually a feature in this where you actually get to build your own empire. So it talks about the most notable additions to this world of Grand Theft Auto: a new combat system, swimming, which that was really key. Being added swimming in there because you didn't have that until San Andreas. So that's something that was really cool. And then this exciting empire building feature. In this chapter, we describe the new ways to dispatch someone with your bare hands. See our Empire Guide chapter for details and tips on growing your own empire. So you actually get to grow your empire and earn money and stuff. And I had completely forgot about that, as I hadn't played the game so long. So just reading through the wonderful strategy guide about it, and I'm like, oh yeah, they did add that cool feature to the game. So it's something that's really neat. You guys definitely need to check out Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, especially if you're a fan of the Grand Theft Auto series and the original trilogy that was on PlayStation 2. These are wonderful companion pieces. Now, they do work and look wonderful on the PSP. I did beat Liberty City Stories on the PSP. Never did fully beat it on PS2, and I got really, really far on the PSP version of Vice City Stories as well. But I'm having a blast with this game, and this is one that I'm looking forward to 100%ing here finally, and it's just really cool and definitely worth picking up. Let me just warn you guys though, if you're trying to get this double pack, it is gone crazy. I got this last year for $15. This thing now is going for like $270, $300, and that's just for a used copy that's in decent condition. If it's sealed, people want $700 and $800 for it. It's just ridiculous. But you should be able to find them separate on their own for a much cheaper. I just really love Grand Theft Auto, and I love this double pack, and I'm so glad that I got it for that $15 price. It's just crazy how much stuff has gone up because of the pandemic. But definitely check out Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories and Vice City Stories. Two wonderful companion pieces to the original Grand Theft Auto trilogy. Wonderful games I think you guys should check out. And the other one that I've been putting a lot of time into this, and that is The Sinking City by Big Ben and Frogwares. Great game. Having a blast with this. So it gives you a little thing. It says reverse reality. Seek out the truth as you explore a flooded city in this investigation adventure inspired by the works of the master of horror H.P. Lovecraft. You can explore an open city, survive cosmic horror, and investigate insanity-blasting cases. And this is the day one edition, so it came with a cool map, which is in here. And I showed you guys that in my last one, but, in case you guys get to see last one, I'll show you guys again. But it has a pretty decent-sized map. However, a big portion of the city is actually flooded, so all these blue parts here are parts that are flooded, and in order to traverse those areas, you have to use a boat that you can control, which does control very well, because if you're in there swimming, you'll get attacked by giant eels, and slowly your character will lose his health, and he'll end up dying. But it's really cool. The city's broken up into different sections like Reed Heights, and Advent, and Old Groove, and the Shells, and Salvation Harbor, Coverside, and just all kinds of cool ones. And as you play through the main story, it'll take you all over the different cities, and you get to interact with all kinds of unique characters, because the game world is filled with all kinds of characters, which a lot of them are very, very strange people, and it just has that, H.P. Lovecraft horror and everything to it. And what an interesting fact is, this was originally going to be a Sherlock Holmes game, but it just started changing into something that just didn't fit the Sherlock Holmes narrative, and it just fit more of an H.P. Lovecraft story, and so that's why they turned it into that. So it's really cool. So you play as Richard Reed. You're a private investigator who's been having horrific hallucinations of monsters and creatures and just crazy shit happening to you, and you find out that other people are suffering from the same thing, and it seems to be stemming from this city in Massachusetts called Oakmont, which is a fictional city that they created for this, and this takes place in the 1920s. And so you go here to figure out what's causing all of these hallucinations and all this other weird shit that's happening in your life, and you go to the city and find out that it's there as well, and you have to investigate the stories. And then you find out there's more going on than just, people hallucinating. There's actually real monsters, and there's demons and creatures, and people are going mad and crazy, and you have to unravel the mysteries behind what's going on. And there's like cult, and there's just all kinds of crazy stuff that's going on, and I have been having a blast with the story. It's just been really keeping me sucked in. You have a main story you go through, which you have main quests that you get to investigate, which the investigation is really sweet in this game, as you have to actually investigate crimes and different things that go on. People will send you on these quests to investigate stuff that's going on. You have to actually investigate it yourself, and there's different difficulty setting as far as like your combat goes, how hard enemies are. You can make them easier, and there's also a difficulty setting as far as the case, where you can have it where the game really like holds your hand and tells you where to go, or you can be kind of in the middle ground where I am, or you can have it where it doesn't hold your hand at all, and you have to just figure it out by the clues, because characters will talk about something, and like you got to figure out where some guy is from, where you might go to the library and pick up on some of the clues that you discovered through the city by talking to people, put those clues together to figure out, oh, this guy's from this part of the city, I gotta go investigate his house and figure out what happened there. And then one thing I really like is they have this vision mode where you can go in and you can see things that other private investigators and other people don't see, because you have like a superpower to able to deduce and see things that and like an otherworldly power, and it's really cool. And the longer you stay there, it depletes your sanity meter, and your character will start reacting to that as it goes down, and you'll see him like looking around, and there's sometimes where you'll see him he take his gun and put up to his head like he's gonna blow his brains out, and you can see it's like really affecting him. And so sometimes you got to get out of that area where he's danger or monster or something, so that his sanity goes back. You also can take there's like a healing kit that you can boost up your sanity meter. Same thing with your health. So it's a really fascinating part of the game as you're trying to explore this stuff. You can get attacked that way psychologically, and monsters can attack you psychologically too, not just attack you your health. So it's a really interesting story. I've just been having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely one of these games I highly recommend you have to start from the beginning. If you jump into it like a couple missions in or something, you'll be completely lost. And it's one of these games where you learn the story and unravel it as you play through, and even then you don't fully understand it. I do know that there's, I think, like 3 different endings to this game, and I was reading that you can actually get all 3 endings if you want to. You just make one save file, because you can actually have up to 3 save files, and there's a whole bunch of auto-saves. The game does auto-save a lot, which is wonderful. So if you die, you go back to your latest save, and it saves like every 5 minutes or something, so there's plenty of saves for that. But there is a place in the game at the end where you can make one final save, and then you can do a different decision, get an ending, and then you can get another one to do this. So you don't have to actually play through the game 3 times to get all 3 endings like you normally do. I get a lot of Silent Hill vibes from this. The music is just amazing. The ambience and everything. Real horror music that just like draws you in, especially if you play with headphones, which I have headphones for my Xbox One X. Game looks wonderful on there. It's pretty beautiful graphics. Now, they're not going to be like the best graphics in the world, as I would kind of compare them to like the early days of Xbox One, but they still look pretty cool. Some of the people look really strange. There's some fish-looking people. Like, it's just part of the world. These Innsmouthers, they call them. There's really strange people, and then there's some people that look kind of like apes, and then of course there's normal-looking people. Now, your main character, Charles Reed, he really looks like a dude who hasn't slept in a couple years. Looks like he was an alcoholic. He just has that, like, his face, like, they made it look great. Like, his face just looks like a dude that's like been beat to shit, and he's trying to figure stuff out. So I really like that look to him. And then also just the overall aesthetics of the world. It's like it's always raining, so it's always dark and cloudy. Even in the middle of the day when it's sunny, like, you'll see it a little bit brighter, but it's still always raining and cloudy. And then at nighttime it's really dark out, and can be eerie and stuff, and you can hear the wind howling and moving around. It's just really cool. The city, is like destroyed because it had been flooded, and it was flooded by supernatural means. It wasn't something that was normal, and all these people kind of have just adapted to it that you run into in the city. Like half the city's been flooded, and all these people are just kind of surviving there. And because the city's been flooded, they don't have a currency system anymore, and they actually trade stuff with bullets because they're useful for fighting the monsters and stuff. And so that's your kind of currency system. There are no merchants in the game, so there's nobody to buy stuff from the weapons. You actually use those bullets to fight. But one of the great things about this is there's a crafting mechanic where you can actually craft supplies, and as you play through the story, you unlock more stuff. Like at the beginning of the game, you start out with one pistol, but I did find a revolver, so had a revolver, and then because I had the thing, I was able to make first aid kits. And then there's other things like you can make grenades and you can make Molotov cocktails, and you also can do traps, which you can then lay traps down for enemies to walk into, which will keep them in place and give you a chance to attack them. The combat in this game is pretty good. Now, your main character is just your average Joe guy, so he's not going to be amazing with combat. He's not some kind of a Rambo guy or anything, and I really like that because it gives an authentic feel that like he's just an average Joe that's able to fight. Now, his character did say he was in the Navy, so he has some training, but he's not a combat expert by any means, and so I like that it reflects in the combat. Now, you do fight monsters, which let me recommend to you guys that you have to be careful, especially when they swarm you, especially early in the game, the monsters are really strong and can soak up a lot of bullets, especially the bigger ones. There's some little ones, but the ones you get, the medium and the bigger size ones, you have to watch out for those guys because they can get tough. You also fight humans in this, but they're fairly easy. I've gotten really good at one or two shots. Try to go for headshots for the human enemies. You can drop them pretty quickly. But just, a really fun story, especially if you're a fan of like Call of Cthulhu and you like that really bizarre and interesting horror that H.P. Lovecraft has, and it's set in an H.P. Lovecraft type of world, and so it's really interesting. I'm really liking the plot to the game, and I'm just liking the mystery around it. I like how you get to solve these cases and stuff, and you can do it with as little help as you want to make it really challenging, and you have to piece together what might have happened in the scene, because you actually can see stuff that happened in the past with his special vision powers, and sometimes there might be 2 things, 3 things, 4 or 5 things, and you have to put the sequence of events in order so you can get the overall story of it, because you'll see like someone like, let's just say that somebody burned something, but you might see what they did but first, and you have to piece it together in different parts of that area, and then your character will decide, we'll tell you, hey, this is what he did, we deduced the case, and this is the outcome of it, and it helps you move the story along. And with that, you have side quests you can do. There's actually a DLC that was released for this. It got 3 new, fairly large stories and some costume things. And I bought that actually for $15, and I'm actually just starting to work on those cases, as I've pretty much beat almost all the side quests right now, as I have been leveling up my character, which is a great thing. Is this does have like RPG elements where you can level Charles up, and you can improve things like you can improve your health, you can improve your insanity, which I highly recommend. You can make it where you get XP faster, you get better rewards during the quest, because when you do quests, you get materials and supplies and bullets and stuff from the people who give you these investigations and cases to do. And they also sometimes they'll give you a gun, or they'll give you a special ability or something, gets unlocked. And so having this experience every time, you unlock knowledge points, and you can use that to level your character up and make him stronger. And I do want to let you guys know that you can fully max out your character before the end of the story. You can unlock everything in the game, hold more ammo, make your gun stronger, craft faster, craft with less stuff. It's just a really fun, interesting game that's just been it's got me hooked, and I plan to play this until I beat it. Now, people are saying, it's about a 15 to 20 some hour story if you go through, but I've already got over 20 hours, and I still got a lot of stuff to do in it. But I play my games a little slower than other people do, because I like to really explore, and I like to really level up my character and do everything I can. And so I've been doing everything in here as far as all the side quests go, and then I'm going to burn through all the main quests after. As I've done 3 of them, and I think there's like 15 total. So really fun game. If you guys like games where you have to do some investigation stuff. Like if you guys were a fan of the LA Noire game, like I love that game. It's really cool. You have a lot of those elements in this game. If you like the horror stuff, you get to fight monsters and creatures. The music just really sucks you into the world and can be eerie and creepy at times. And it's just really fun and has an interesting story. That's something I think you guys should definitely check out. You owe it to yourself. Check out the Sinking City. I'm really glad that I gave this game a chance. I saw it at GameStop a couple months ago. It just looked really cool. I found out there's a day one edition, but it came with a code, and I didn't want to buy a used copy and not have the code in there so I could get the content. And I was also missing the map. Like I like having the maps and stuff. So I was able to buy this new. I think it was only like $20 on eBay, so it's fairly cheap. This is also on Nintendo Switch, but it's digital only, and it's also on PS4 and PC. Obviously, it did have some issues, glitches and stuff like that. Now I still have encountered a couple where the game sometimes has a long time to load, and then there are some screen tears and stuff I've known, but they have patched a lot of the issues. And other than those minor issues where it sometimes loads slow, overall it hasn't hindered my enjoyment at all. You also get to go under water too, which is really cool, in a diving suit. And so then this is set in the 1920s, so Prohibition is going on, and I really love that 1920s setting, the cars and the clothing and the mannerisms and the people and the culture and everything from the 20s. Like, it's just really cool and really fascinating, and it's exactly what H.P. Lovecraft setting is perfect, is in those early 1920s settings. And so that's where the story takes place, and it's really fun. A lot of weapons you guys get to eventually unlock. Like I just unlocked a shotgun in the game, but I haven't used it yet. I know that there's a battle rifle, and there's also a Tommy gun, and then I think there might be some other throwable weapons as well. But definitely check out the Sinking City. It's a really fascinating game that's really kept my attention, and I can't wait to be. I'm hoping to have it be here, as I'm actually going to be starting vacation after I go to work today. I go to work Saturday, and then I'm off from Sunday through Sunday. So I got 8 more days off for second vacation, and I'm planning to do a lot more gaming this time than I did my last one. So definitely check out the Sinking City. We'll do a quick little recap. I talk about that I've been playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. I just started it. It's a wonderful companion piece to the main Grand Theft Auto games. It actually takes place a few years before Grand Theft Auto Vice City. You can get it on the PSP, which it originally was, but they ported them to the PS2, so you can play them on the big screen, and it's a really wonderful experience. This is a double pack I have that has Liberty City Stories, which also takes place before Grand Theft Auto 3. Wonderful games. Highly recommend you play both of them. I'm a huge fan of Vice City. That was my favorite game for Grand Theft Auto of all time, and so I also love the Vice City Stories. I'm looking forward to beating that. Very cool game. You guys love Grand Theft Auto, you'll definitely love these. Trust me, they're great games. The graphics look really good on PS2, and they're just really fun. We also talked about the Sinking City, which this is a wonderful game set in H.P. Lovecraft setting. We get to have investigations, you have a main quest, you have side quests. It's just an overall really fun story that I think you guys should definitely check out. Let me know if you guys have played either of these 2 games I talked about this week. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions on them. I also want to hear about the games you guys have been playing, and if you have any recommendations on a game you think I should check out, let me know, as you guys always recommend really fun titles. Take care. You guys have an amazing day, and Sleepy will see you next time.